are now
beginning the pace lap, moving through turn 1. On the first row, remember, Teo Fabi, Mike Mosley, and Rick Mears. What goes through the mind of a man? What emotions does he feel on this pace lap? Only somebody who's been in one of those cars could know. The crowds everywhere that you look. Crowds in turn 1, turn 2, the suites there on the left. Those are the expensive viewing platforms. Moving down the long backstretch now. Sam Posey has been in one of these cars on race day in the Indianapolis 500. What is the emotion? Is it fear, tension, what?
All of that, Jim. You try to have a plan in your mind, but it's at this moment, with all that's going on around you, that plan starts to leak out of your mind. You fight for self-control. You can't understand what's about to happen, but you're trying to stick to your plan. Bobby, in particular, has never faced this before and is in the most difficult position.
As for the crowd, why are they here? Many different reasons. Some of them come every year. It's old home week. They sit in the same seats, wherever it may be. See people they only see once a year. Others are inveterate race fans. They'd be here no matter what kind of a race it was. Some, no doubt, are here for titillation, to watch men dice with disaster. But behind every pair of eyes, there is a slightly different thought. 3 times the crowd that you see at the Kentucky Derby, 4 times at the Rose Bowl, 7 or 8 times of a World Series. A 2.5-mile surface on which the event takes place, lined up quite well. It looks like Duke Neyland driving the pace car, raced here first 45 years ago. Let's see if they're going to get it. There it is. The green flag is out. Fabi going for the lead on the inside, the green and white car. Tucking in behind him, Rick Mears and Mike Mosley. The Indianapolis 500 is underway for 1983. The cars on the first row still in the first 3 places. There is Teo Fabi, 27 years old, from Italy. Again, the explosions that you hear have nothing to do with the race. Those are fireworks traditionally set off in the infield to let the surrounding countryside know that the Indianapolis 500 once again is underway.
It couldn't be better for Fabi, Jim. This is exactly what he might have wanted, because he doesn't have to cope with the tension of trying to get by people right off the bat. It won't be for 4 or 5 laps that he'll start to lap the tail enders. He can settle himself in on this track, which is green, hasn't been raced on for 2 days, and try to get a feel for it.
All right, Rick Mears in 2nd place, Mike Mosley in 3rd, and Teo Fabi at this moment still the center of the entire drama. He's never been here before, has never raced in competition on the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. He's not only won the pole, he's off to a flying start.
It reminds me, Jim, of 20 years ago exactly when Jim Clark made his debut here at Indianapolis and was able to lead that race early on, but as the race wore on, he's inexperienced in operating with the second to Parnelli Jones. What's ahead for Teo Fabi today? We just, of course, have no idea at this point.
The standings right now, Fabi in the lead, followed by Rick Mears, Mike Mosley. Bobby Rahal is 4th right now. He started on the outside of the 2nd row. Al Unser Jr., who started in the middle of the 2nd row, is in 5th place, and in 6th place, Tom Sneva, who started on the inside of the 2nd row. A remarkably orderly start. The first 2 rows where you would expect them to be on the start. Very often that's not the case.
It's not, and of course, I think everybody this year had last year's start in mind. The historical tendency, Jim, here is every 2nd or 3rd year there's a bad start, and then people remember and they try to be careful. If you see little bits, slivery bits of plastic along the road, people have been tearing off their visors. The track is known to be quite dirty with various debris and dust, and we talked to Mario Andretti moments before the start. He was in his garage, and he said, well, he'll just tear that thing off after the first lap no matter what.
That's an important point that you make. No race cars have been on this track since Thursday. None of the cars have moved since then. So what the engines are going to do here in the first few laps can come as quite a surprise. As for the racing surface, as you mentioned, that's been accumulating dust and grit since Thursday. There's been rain. A number of circumstances could change since Thursday. And on the first lap, as you said, Mario Andretti was telling us, you get all this stuff into your visor and into your peel-off visor that you have on the front.
Jim, here is Rick Mears. In 2nd place, and the interesting thing, we learned just before the start that they had trouble. Oh, there's the shot from inside the car. Sensational. Our camera working from inside Rick Mears' car. You can see Fabi just as a dot ahead there. Mears may be having trouble with what they call understeer, Jim, with the front of his car not guiding the road as well as possible. He had trouble with that on Thursday. I'm going to try and see now if he sees. Yes, he is. He's taking a low line. That would mean he's trying to combat an understeering problem. That's probably why he's dropping back a Bobby.
And we did hear, as you indicate, from the Roger Penske crew that on the first pit stop they might be making adjustments for that understeer problem.
We'll have to look for that. In the meantime, it's obvious that Bobby and his design staff behind him have selected the exact perfect combination because they're pulling away and doing it quite easily.
Well, now, 18 of the 33 cars in this race have the same chassis. It's called March. It is made in England. How do you account for the fact that, at least so far, Bobby's chassis, every adjustment on his car, seems to be so far superior to the other 17 Marches?
Jim, early in Bobby's career, when he was still racing in Italy, he raced Formula 2 and Formula 3 over there, two series in which March is predominant. He got to know those people, especially Robin Hurd, the chief engineer there. So Bobby goes way back with the company whose car he's driving now. Those people, the designers, were here throughout the month helping Bobby. So although he is a rookie, he's been able to tap into very, very good experience and some very brilliant minds.
He has now lengthened that lead to 4.4 seconds. That's about 400 yards, 4 football fields in front.
It is, but, Jim, we've got to remember that what we're seeing right now is just the first, it's the opening round of a prize fight, and there's a lot left to be seen. I mean, when they make the first pit stops and second and so on, we'll start to see all of these teams come up with different setups for their cars. It's not etched in stone. It needn't go on this way all day at all.
On that lap, he increased his lead by another 0.4 of a second, almost half a second a lap. He is picking up on these race cars behind him. So Teo Bobby of Milan, Italy, is off to a flying start. He's won the pole, and he's leading the Indianapolis 500. The Indianapolis 500 continuing. We're now on lap 19 of a scheduled 200 laps, 500 miles on this 2.5-mile racetrack. Teo Bobby of Italy still leading. There he is in the green and white number 33 car. And now he has begun for the first time to move into traffic. You mentioned at the top, Sam, that this could be a problem for him. He's never been in this kind of a traffic on this kind of a racetrack.
Exactly, Jim. Now, here are the things he faces. A lot of turbulence, because remember, his car is held to the road by aerodynamics, by air flowing over and under the wings and through his ground effect system, which is helping to glue the car to the road. So there's turbulence as he tries to pass, and he also must learn how to maneuver around these cars. Now, so far, he is passing cars that are slower cars. He hasn't come up among the top cars, of course, yet. That would be much later in the race. But he seems to be handling it beautifully, lying back a little bit in the turns, and then making the passes look easy on the straightaway. He's making another one now.
You wonder whether an Italian-born driver has ever won this race. The answer is yes. Mario Andretti, of course, was born and raised in Italy. He won it in 1969. And you can go all the way back to 1916 when Dario Resta won on a Peugeot. Teo Bobby still leading the race and leading it easily now in the very early going at Indianapolis. In second place at the moment is car number 2, Rick Mears. That's the yellow car you see there. The speed for him, 185 miles an hour. In third place, number 18 is Mike Mosley. Fourth now is Bobby Rahal, who started on the outside of the second row in car number 4. Tom Sneva in car number 5 is 5th at the moment.
Well, Jim, you said that Bobby's leading it easily. Really, his lead has been eroded a little bit in the last couple of laps, so my fears about his problems in traffic are starting to be realized here.
Well, there we have Mears in the yellow car. Behind him in the yellow car with the blue tail is Mike Mosley. Moving up now on the leader. And there is Mosley was just trying to make a pass on Mears, but he didn't do it. Mears, the yellow car, still in second place ahead of the yellow and blue car, which is third. There's the leader.
Scott Brayton is pulling into the pits on the extreme right.
There's Tom Sneva in the white car trying to move up, trying to get into that battle for second place. Mosley in the blue and yellow, stalking Mears in the yellow.
Mears does not seem to be handling that well. Jimmy hasn't been since the start of the race. Here's Mosley pulling out smartly.
And it looks like getting the job done, passing Rick Mears and taking second place.
Decisively, and then Mears slows even more as he goes through that turn. Mears is obviously his car not handling well.